engineers since it's time anyway. And you're all here. Others will join in, others can follow. Actually being streamed live, so that should be okay. Okay, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your workshop 254. This is 19th day of December, the year 2021, and the time is 8:00 a.m. East African time. So our conversation for the day is on mentorship, and we have renowned mentors in this space, that is engineering. We have Engineer Elec Ohaga, who is and he's one of the founders of the program, the IEK, from graduate engineers to professional class. Then we also have we have Grace Nzivo, who is here to be an engineer, but she's a graduate engineer. She has a mentorship program at her own. It's called Wahandisi la Femme. Did I get that right, Grace?
Wahandisi la Femme.
La Femme. Yes. Wahandisi la Femme. So you should be telling us more about this program and the impact of the STEM program and so on. So we proceed on. I will just, from where you are, Grace, kindly just give us a brief introduction of yourself. Over to you, Grace.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Engineer Namano. I'm so grateful. And good morning, everyone. I hope all of us have had a great night. So my name is Grace Nzivo. I'm a civil engineer by profession. And then over the years, I've practiced in the steel structure field. I have 4 years of experience. And currently, I'm working as a project engineer with Farmers Engineering. And I also run a startup called Legacy Amazing Consult, where we are trying to give advice on steel structures, and also we hope to venture and grow into the steel industry as time goes by. Yeah, and as you've mentioned, I'm a co-founder of STEM Wahandisi la Femme, which I'm going to be talking much more as we proceed on with the session. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Grace, for that. So over to you, Engineer Ohaga, senior. Kindly introduce yourself to us.
Thank you so much, Engineer Namano, and good morning, members who are present here today. My name is Elec Ohaga, and I'm the second vice president. I hold BSc in electrical and electronics engineering, and also masters in nuclear engineering. I'm the chairperson of the membership committee, current chairperson of the membership committee, and also a member of the training and mentorship committee of IEK. I'm a fellow of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya and a consulting engineer with EBK. I also sit in the electrical panel of both IEK and EBK, and an approved worker of class 1A of EPRA. I also give back to the society by being the chair of the board of management of St. Joseph Ugana Secondary School, that is in Mumias West. And I'm also a proud member of Cafe 63, the All Saints Cathedral. This is a caucus for young adults within the cathedral. Currently, I am the director in charge of nuclear energy infrastructure development at Nuclear Power and Energy Agency. Previously, of course, I've worked at Vector International as a power systems backups engineer, and then went to Kenya Power, where I spent most of my time, from being a design engineer, spending 2 years of training, and then rising through the ranks to the county business manager and I left Kenya Power 2 years ago after spending 15 years at Kenya Power. I'm also a father of 2, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you so much, and over to you, Engineer Namano.
No, thank you very much, Ohaga. I think you have a very elaborate CV there.
Thank you.
It's good to have you on board with us today. Now, we just don't turn off your mic. Just keep from there and tell us about your mentorship excellence. That is our focus for the day. What have you done? What is it that you do as a mentor? Over to you, Engineer.
Thank you so much, Engineer Namano. When I look at mentorship and I look at developing countries across the world, actually the difference between success and failure in most of this development world lies on mentorship. And when I look at relative success, it's basically a combination of 2 aspects. That is on the cognitive intelligence and the emotional intelligence. When you talk about cognitive intelligence, that is the basic knowledge that all of us as engineers and all of us who go to the university have immediately we graduate. You realize when you leave that gate from the university, and if you are a class of 80 or 100 and all of you got second upper, at that particular time, all of you are on the same wavelength. But what happens to this 50 or 100 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, 5 years into 10 years is actually defined by the emotional intelligence. And this relative success, which is combined between the cognitive intelligence and the emotional intelligence, you find that the competency that we have as engineers makes about 95%. So we are very intelligent in terms of memory, in terms of cracking technical aspects. But the 5%, which is an emotional intelligence, is what defines who we become in the future. So the baseline is on IQ, and what makes the difference is on the EQ. And this is where the mentorship comes in to define who we want to become into the future. And mentorship provides mentees with the guidance. And of course, the long life skills that is required for sustainable development in this country. Now, as mentorship, this is something that for me, I started when I was still at Kenya Power. And of course, Kenya Power is an institution with about 1,000 engineers. And most of those engineers are graduate engineers. And Kenya Power had about 10 regions. And when I was at Western region, where we had about 130 graduate engineers, we had to start this particular mentorship program just to equip our young graduate engineers with the skills that are required for purposes of transitioning from graduate engineers to professional engineers. So we went through the whole regions, 10 of them, and we had to establish these particular programs in all these 10 regions. And by the time we were leaving, we had seen a lot of fruits actually being born out of these arrangements. Now, it was out of these startups at KPLC that when I joined now as the second vice president and of course the ordinary member of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, I thought it wise to try and replicate the same now to the wider engineering fraternity. And we did then establish what we call the discipline-based mentorship framework, where we arranged ourselves in disciplines: electrical, mechanical, civil, agricultural. And then we would conduct weekly mentorship programs. For electrical, it has been very smooth because it was started with weekly mentorship programs on Sundays, and then it went into every fortnight. The same was established for agricultural, civil, and of course, agricultural. So out of these mentorship programs, we've seen a lot of outcomes coming out of them. We also conduct, of course, I said I belong to Cafe 63 caucus at All Saints Cathedral. And every Sunday between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock, we have a small session amongst the young professionals, of course, across all the professionals, and we discuss issues mentorship. And this is something that has been sustained every single day. At my place of work, every Tuesday is my day, my lunch with the mentees. And this again, we talk about issues, holistic issues that affect the life of a young person. And again, this is not restricted to only engineering students. Every Tuesday at lunchtime. I've also established a framework now for PEs who would want to transition to consulting engineers. And again, this framework is really working very well because now we are seeing a lot of interest of professional engineers wanting to be mentored on to becoming a consulting engineer. Because at the end of the day, people need to grow. As a student engineer, you need to grow into a graduate engineer. As a graduate engineer, you grow into a professional engineer. Of course, after becoming a professional engineer, we still continue to sustain that effort of continuous improvement by then becoming a consulting engineer. And these programs, we run them every single month, where I take young engineering practitioners and even some who are older than myself, but want to become consulting engineers. So that has been my exploit in terms of the mentorship framework that we've had over the years. Thank you so much, and over to you, Engineer Namano.
Seems to be a career mentor. A very serious undertaking.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, for those who may not be aware, in Ohaga is the transition from graduate to professional engineer. So whatever it is that you is saying, I can actually that reality.
Thank you. Thank you, Engineer.
So over to you, Grace. Tell us about the mentorship.
Okay, let me start by congratulating what Engineer Eric has talked about. I think he's really gone over and beyond in terms of doing the mentorship, and that is quite a lot, because I know more often than not it's never paid. So going all that way, mentoring chats, Gs to VPs and all that, even it's quite great work, and I'm really inspired. So keep up the great work, Engineer.
Thank you.
Okay, for me, when it comes to the mentorship, it started back in campus. So initially, it was not structured, so to say. So we just used to have an organization in Kenyatta University where we'd go to high schools, talk to students, and now that used to be now the students who are in STEM courses, engineering, anything to do with medicine, whatnot. That's how the journey started. I just used to enjoy joining that. We were in a club, it used to be called KuFest now. So that's how the journey started. Just one going to schools while still at the university. Then now after graduation, it's when like I sort of was left alone, for lack of a better word. So it's when now we started imagining of how to proceed with this now that we've graduated, and this journey has to continue. So now we founded STEM Uhandisi La Femme. It is a STEM inspired organization, and we mentor young girls to take STEM subjects. I hope I'm clear. My internet keeps saying it's unstable. I am? Okay. Sawa. Yeah, so we mentor young girls to take STEM subjects. And now, recently, we've quite been keen with the universities that have engineering courses. So normally what we do, we visit schools, high school, mostly initially before the corona, of course, hit. We used to focus mostly on high schools and mostly in the rural areas because there is where the mentors are quite scanty. I'll give you my story as we go on, how all this is, started. So we used to, for me, it has been important for me to focus on schools in the rural areas because as for myself, I really never met an engineer, maybe up to probably campus second year. There is where I met someone who says he's an engineer. And growing up, I knew, the stories our parents in the village give us is, you read hard and then you study, you become a doctor. So that is how the journey started. And basically what we do, we just share our stories. I'm an engineer myself. I just stand there to just encourage these girls, help them relate with me so that at the end of the day, they stay motivated and they have someone to look up to who is like, I'm not going back to the communities I come from, but so that they can have that someone who can, trigger something that if this person comes from maybe a village like me, I want to become like them. So that is basically what we've been doing, going to high schools. And now recently we focused to universities as well. Yeah, I will speak more on that as we proceed. That is what we've been doing. Okay, if I speak about the name, how it came up, because I found engineer finding it interesting. There's STEM, of course, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Wahandisi is Swahili for engineers, actually. And La Femme is French for women, La Femme. Yeah, I speak a little bit of French. I'll speak a little later. Yes.
Don't turn off the mic, yeah?
Okay, fine. All right.
So, from where you are,
yes.
What motivates you, to mentor in this area? Because the focus is on them, then you focus on wahandisi, engineer, and then bias towards women. So, why did you focus on this topic?
Okay, for Dini, I said I would share my story. When I was young, as I had mentioned earlier, we used just to be taught to study hard and become, doctors, because that was the most common career. So personally, I didn't have a mentor. There was no one. Where I came from, the closest I came to an engineer was I used to just of a story of a lady my mother used to give me. She was called Florence. I'll never forget. Thank God we eventually met. So she used to tell me so she's doing engineering. She went abroad. She's now doing a water supply system in the community. So that is the closest I came to someone who is an engineer. So that is one of the major things, the fact that knowing that those girls in those rural areas, they need someone, because I lacked someone who I could even ask questions, even in terms of the engineering itself. Did I even know about civil? Did I even know about electrical? Did I even know about mechanical? I didn't even know about all those civils. I just knew maybe a little bit about buildings. And even one time when I was in high school, maybe the teachers would mention about doing well in physics and sciences, maybe you can study engineering, but they didn't go beyond that. It's just reached there. So right now, since now I've gotten the enlightenment, I've gone through the entire training program. I know there's civil, I know there's electrical, I know there's mechanical, there's mechatronic, there's petroleum. So that is what I go back to talk to these people about. First of all, there's engineering. Two, there's civil. Three, there's the various disciplines that we have for engineering. Because in rural areas, as a matter of reality, there are no we don't have mentors. There are people who are almost forgotten and left out. if I mention my village where I come from, we are very few, and also the few are willing to also go back. Also, the numbers are quite low. So you find there are people just know they are studying, but you are just there, and so that lack of know-how is where I find the gap that we need to speak, because I can directly relate. Personally, I didn't know even the Civo, the Nini, the what. I was, in fact, helped to choose the career, but to choose the civil by someone when we were changing the careers. So they just say, select that one civil. And I was like, engineering is good, and you've done well in in sciences. You see, now that is what keeps me going, because that is my story. That is deeply, deeply my story. So I really feel I have a responsibility to go back, because now if I don't go, then what will happen? So, and God have given me this chance to come, therefore I have come. So that is one of the major things that keeps me going. And then also, as we've gone throughout the program, we also do get feedbacks from the students. You look at them, they're like, oh, now I think I can go on and put more effort maybe in my physics, sciences, and now I can study engineering. They know now what you need. You even explain to them you need physics to even do an engineering, because some people don't know. When you go to these villages, not the schools around Nairobi, when you go to these villages, it's when you know these people don't know. They don't have information as basic as the civil, electrical, and mechanical. Just that. So yeah. So those are some of the things that have kept me going. And then also the feedback also that you get from the students, it is quite inspiring. Sometimes you go to a school, and then one time a message drops from a student, hi Grace, you came to our school, this. Thank you so much for coming. I'm still working hard. You know, those small things that they just make your day. A student has written to you and you're like, okay, so I touched someone. You know, just that one line is good enough for you to go back. And also feedback from some teachers. Some teachers do get feedback. So if I do send us feedback, and they tell us, like one of the schools I work with very closely, they have adopted me, for lack of a better word, is Mary Hill. So when one time, we normally go to every career fair that they normally have. The schools have career fairs every now and then. So when the students, when they did well in, I don't know, it's 2019 or 2020, they were asked what are we going to do to the next year's candidates so that they also perform well like you guys. They did not say take us to maybe for another trip to where they go for trips even outside the country and stuff like that. They said no, bring those mentors again. Those mentors are the ones that made us do well. So you're like, yeah, so this thing, So now we've become friends to the point that every career fair we must be there. You see some of those things when you get feedback, and even after the session, when you interact with the students, you can see the confidence in them. They are asking you questions. You've gone there, you found them. They are so naive and scared. You've talked to them and all that. So just that keeps you going. So that is basically what keeps me going most of the time. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Grace, for that. You haven't responded to the part about being biased towards the pen, eh?
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry, yeah. Let me tackle that. In terms of the ladies, of course, my class, we had 10 ladies out of 60 men. So the numbers are quite glaring. They're always rubbing themselves on my face everywhere. But my workplaces, I've worked in various companies, steel structures, materially, where you find yourself, there are 2 ladies, and then the other one, there's one lady. So that one keeps rubbing itself on your face. And then when you also look at the even engineers board website, the number of ladies, the numbers that are there, it's almost like 11%, which is a number of like 2,400 as compared to almost 18,000 for the men. They are quite low. The numbers are quite low. It keeps rubbing on your face every day. I think it slips my mind because it's almost obvious. Yeah, so the numbers, that one is almost can't be discussed. Even it's always rubbing on our faces every day. So 10 in my class in campus, then 60 guys. Workplace, the same story as we go. You go to a site meeting, you look everywhere, and it's extremely masculine. Yes.
Okay. It's like
Yeah.
empower the ladies, so that we can have more women.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We want to empower to have more women in the field. Yes.
Thank you. Now, over to you, senior engineer. What motivates you to run all these mentorship programs that you have?
Thank you, Engineer Namano. I think myself, I must say I'm a product of mentorship, and this one I alluded to my uncle. When I was in high school, my uncle used to work for Sony Sugar, and I think at that particular time, when I was in Form 2, my uncle introduced me to a mechanical engineer and an agricultural engineer, whom were their buddies at that particular time. So my life was shaped by these two engineers. So the mentorship started at that particular time because these two engineers would then tell me what engineering was. And at that particular time, I could see an engineer in these two people. And you can imagine these two mechanical and one agricultural mentored me into choosing to do electrical engineering. Basically, they gave me the leeway to decide. They gave me the information, and then I had to decide what I wanted to do when I went to the university. And that has been the journey. So I'm a real product of mentorship, and I know what it is. Now, success stories also motivate me. When you are able to mentor someone and at the end of the day, you pass that mic to that person. You know, the young people deserve the best of us so that they can become better people. Now, when you mentor someone and after mentorship, that particular someone is able to perform more than you are, then the motivation, the intrinsic motivation comes from that particular aspect. So that has been the motivating factor. When you see success stories every single day coming out of those programs, it gives you the impetus to continue even more and every single day. Thank you, Engineer.
Thank you very much for that. You remind me of Engineer Auma. He also reasons along him. Him, you have to surpass him. Once you mentor you, you must do better than him.
Yes.
Recognize you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Engineer. You don't turn off your mic and just respond to my next question. So far, okay, your mentorship exploits and the motivation. What are some of the, what have you accomplished? What are some of the success stories that you can share with us this particular morning?
Thank you, Engineer Amano. I want to say that out of this mentorship framework that we did establish about 3 years ago, we've been able to establish various academies in terms of the disciplines, which has over now 3,000 graduate engineers. And we have a hashtag, which is 1,000 GEs to PEs. And over the last 2 years, we have been able to transition over 385 graduate engineers becoming corporate and of course also becoming professional engineers. So this is an achievement that I must say is attributed to this mentorship because we invite you to join, we ask you to listen, we then ask you to register. After registration, you don't leave that academy until you start mentoring. And therefore, we are looking at a pool of mentees who will become mentors once they become professional engineers. Out of this framework also, we have been able to establish about 53 trainers of trainers across the various disciplines. And these are the people who are going to sustain this particular framework into the future. So we are seeing a very good response in terms of this framework. And I think the future can only be described as being bright. Thank you.
Okay, I believe we have a session this evening.
Yes, we do have a session, the last session of the year at 2 o'clock today.
So, once again, I'd like to associate myself to the mentorship program. I'm a beneficiary to say the exercise. All electrical engineers who wish to transition to the class professional engineer, kindly make sure to join him. I think Ohaga is one of the. Will you be on the panel, engineer? One of the panels today?
Yes, I'm on panel number 3 today.
Oh. So there's also engineer Kahoro, engineer Mutonga, engineer, who else? Engineer Ochola.
Africa, the new engineers who graduated a few months ago have also joined the team. Africa, we have Nganga, we have Koros Mercy, and of course yourself, you're also there, and Bukachi, a number of them.
So let me just ask engineer, how many of us have transitioned to the class of professional engineer since the program started?
300. Okay, 385. That is the number.
Are those corporate or are those professional engineers?
Those are corporate members on the Institution of Engineers. Now, when you talk about corporate, there are about 289. So there's a 100 that are still in the process of getting registration with EBK.
And that's well, if you're talking of session number 659, then that's a very clear accomplishment. Thank you very much.
I will.
So back to you, Grace. Tell us
Yeah.
share with us a success in relation to STEM wahandisi la FEM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great work again, Engineer Eric. Yeah, I think the bar is quite high. It's quite inspiring. Wow. For us, okay, we've been able to reach to quite a number of schools, over 15 schools around the country, reaching out to over 50,000 students, high school students. And then also, by God's will, we've been able to reach to at least majority, if not all, of the universities in Kenya that have engineering courses. We've been able to reach out to the students and talk to them. The feedback in terms of those who have been inspired to take the engineering is what we're still working around to see if we can sort of keep track of the same, because people have told us they'll go ahead and the students, of course, they'll go ahead and take the courses, but we've not had a database to keep track of the same, but we do get a few feedback here and there. Maybe let's say 50 students have responded to us that they are going to pursue engineering in their universities. But generally, in terms of the numbers, we've been able to reach to over 50,000 students for the universities. We've been to almost all the universities in Kenya that have engineering courses. Those are some of the things that we've accomplished. And then also sometimes we do get feedback from the teachers that tell us that we've inspired discipline from the students, even proactiveness, them being able to take responsibility. The confidence in the students has gone up in terms of even teachers that they write back to us. And nowadays our students are asking questions, they're coming to the office to ask questions, they're engaging, and sometimes you go to a school and the students can't even talk to you when you are doing maybe a presentation. They are just so cringed, so scared. It's a rural area, they are so naive, they can't even say, excuse me, what did you say? I did not hear that. And when it comes to the Q&A session, they're even writing small papers to pass because they don't want to talk. So at the end of a session, you find that you've pushed them slowly, and someone can say, hi, excuse me, what did you say this? Could you repeat? Instead of writing that small paper and just passing it. sort of just chini for lack of a better word because of that naivety. So those are some of the accomplishments that we've gotten, and also the feedback that we've now been able to keep track and establish sort of a long-term relationship with Maryhill, whereby the students have really given us the feedback that they need us to go there every year so that we talk to every class that is graduating or that is doing their KCSE. So those are some of the accomplishments that we've achieved, and the teachers, at least for them, they do send us the grades. So those are some of the accomplishments that we've had. Yeah, and also even in some schools, we've helped the students form clubs, leadership clubs, science clubs, anything to do with that. We've found some schools in the rural areas, they don't have clubs. So it's when you are coming in, you are telling them, oh, you need to have a science club, you need to have maybe a mathematics class, something like that. We've also helped them to form clubs in some of those things. Yeah, those are our accomplishments as STEM one is.
Yeah, they may not have the specific numbers from what you're saying, but the impact is
yeah.
there. The impact is
Mm.
it will be seen when now in terms of at the actual level. So you say is it on high school or is it university or is it school?
Okay, I seem to be losing you. Come again.
Is your focus at the university? Is it the university?
Our focus.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me repeat. Or rather clarify that our focus is in high schools because that is where someone is deciding what course to take. The university was born out of Corona because now we could not easily go to high schools. It was very tough going to high schools during the Corona period. It was even impossible. Let me say that. So now it's when Corona is here, we of course we love our mentorship. Then now what are we going to do? How else can we structure this thing? That was like our adaptation towards to the Corona that showed up. You see now students in campus, they have internet, they have laptops, they have phone, they can log in for a webinar like this one. But primary schools, they don't have laptops and computers to log in. So now we saw that since now this one is blocking us from doing something, the only people now we are able to reach out is the campus students. Then they have computers there. And we had to restructure again. Now how we run this thing, because now for them, we bring professionals for them, us of course, for networking. We talk even maybe joining bodies like EBK, how to register for such things. How the profession is taking us, we give more. It's a bit different when it comes to the discussions. Yeah, going into deeper details because let's say this is someone already in the civil engineering industry, this is someone already doing mechanical, so it's different. They're also looking to transitioning into the work environment. They're able to network, meet people who are offering internships, attachment, and stuff like that. So our focus is high schools, but now we had to adapt to Corona. Yes.
Okay, so when you're talking of adapting to say Corona, I believe that is a challenge to program. Am I correct in assuming that? Am I correct in assuming that Corona was and is a challenge to the mentorship program?
Yeah, it is a challenge. It's a huge challenge because right now it's really tough. It's when things are going back to normal and we are trying now to strive to going back to the high schools. So it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. And also the institutions are not welcoming like before. So it is a huge challenge.
So what other challenges have you experienced? Are there any other challenges you experienced as a mentor or with the program?
Okay. Okay. Our major challenge, of course, has been resources. It's so unfortunate because we use our money. We don't have people channeling money into the organization. So only the members, we just fundraise. If we are planning to go somewhere, it's
Yeah.
us who go into our pockets and try to come up with something. Even sometimes we want to give the students some motivation. Let's say present, if the teacher says this time round the students have improved, we want to carry our present and stuff like that. That has been the greatest challenge in terms of the resources. And also, it has hindered us. Sometimes we have to let go some of the schools. If you are invited, you might find, okay, it's a tight time. We are not able to go to such a school. So at this point in time, you have to let go of some. So obviously, if it was easy, because sometimes we have to travel to a place like Narok, for example, my village is in Embu, a bit far. Mobilizing everyone, you are going to use your own fuel. Sometimes you need somewhere to sleep, and that is not in your budget. So some of those things, if we had probably ready resources, they could be easier. And even sometimes people join. I saw someone write in the chats how they want to join our mentorship exploits. And even before we continue, I'm going to respond to them. Like, are you willing to spend your money to do something that pays you nothing? You're not going to get paid. It's you to push yourself. It's your pocket that you're going to use. So how much are you willing to stay? People come, they call me, let me join. They join. They are expecting, oh, Grace is not paying us. What? No, we are not getting paid. We are doing it for it's that is where the giving back comes in. So yeah, it's a challenge. Of course, we'd love to have more resources. We're still striving. We've also received support from some of the members from IEK in terms of finances. One time we had a conference at 2. We managed to get some resources from them. So, but it's still a challenge. So if we had probably more resources, we'd definitely reach out to more schools. And you find some mentors dropping out. You call them, hi, we were supposed to be going to this on this, but they're not coming. They, give you some sort of stories or excuse. But I know where it's stemming from, because you have that it's that drive that is going to make you spend your Bitcoin that you can still save, and you use it for someone who can't pay you back. You're not going to get anything. So yes, resources have really taken us back for sure. Yeah, and also this one, it's not a big challenge per se, but I would also love to maybe, and even those who are listening, to have people we can always reach out to in terms of schools that are ready to be mentored. We don't have a lot of connections yet. Of course, the schools that are there, in terms of the distribution, probably I would say that maybe like places like Western, such places, so that we can be able to reach out to various counties. So in terms of you are there, let's say you are here and you are a board member in a certain school, having such contacts, when you have such contacts, it's easy when you are planning, because that person is like going to prepare the school for you, and you will be like traveling and maybe going. So that it's not a big challenge. We do have few contacts, but also I'm looking at it in terms of maybe distributing our mentorship in the various counties in the country. That could be a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying challenge number 1 is the process, hobby, and then contact. It comes to connecting you to schools. The good thing we have Engineer Ohaga here. Engineer Ohaga is a board member, one of the. So,
yeah, we hope he's going to invite us.
Well, that one is given.
Okay.
So Engineer Ohaga, what about you? You are a man of resources, big pockets, I assume, or I presume. So I believe resources is not a challenge.
The resources are always scarce, they are never infinite. So, but I want to say something about what Grace has just talked about in terms of mobilization of resources. I see a very good opportunity for us at IEK, because actually what Grace is doing is the foundation of our sustainability in terms of the engineering fraternity. When you look at us in the next 100 years, then the only resource, the inputs to engineering is going to come from high schools, going to come from these universities. And therefore, when they are being channeled out of this institution, then at IEK, under the Young Engineers chapter, I think that would be a very good opportunity for Grace and Elec to be able to collaborate, so that then these activities at high school, at the universities, because that is basically the mandate of Elec and the IEK, and therefore if there's that collab between the two, I think we'll be able to expand our horizons, and then even the issues to do with facilitation will be something that will be partly sorted out. So I would really invite Grace to IEK and join. In fact, I want her to join that Young Engineers chapter, so that you can then start shaping up the policies, shaping up the framework, and then things can then take shape there. Now, when you come to myself and looking at some of the challenges that are available within the mentorship framework, one of the major challenges that I've seen is getting enthusiastic mentors who are committed to that particular role. And as Grace also clearly puts it, that many a times this particular role is voluntarily. You got to spare your time, you got to spare your resources to be able to give back to the society. But for you to be able to get such enthusiastic professional engineers who are willing to spend their time, who are willing to spend 6 hours on a Sunday to give back to the society has been a great challenge. And therefore, if we could get this number increased, I think that is one thing that would go a long way in improving the mentorship framework. The other issue, another challenge, is on the mentees stepping out of their comfort zones. You realize you will preach, but until one person makes a deliberate effort to even make an application to IEK or EBK to become a professional engineer, it still remains a mirage. So it is high time that both the mentees and the mentors should establish some time, because we operate within 24 hours in a day, and one has to establish time within that particular framework, that time cycle of 24 hours in a day. And then we can be able to move forward and see how to make progress. So those are the major issues that I think I can speak to, but I think we also can have mitigating measures to sort out those two issues. Thank you, Engineer.
So, Engineer Ohaga, so those are the challenges. So that is in regards to what you as a mentor has been doing and you continue to do. So if you were to be asked, what can others do, those who are not at the center of the mentorship exercise, what can they do to at least help you or assist in the mitigation of some of these challenges? What do you propose?
Okay. I think as a fraternity, and what I normally look at engineering fraternity, that we need to guard this profession very jealously. And you look at prosperity, you look at 50 years, you look at 100 years, you don't look at 10 years or 2 years from now. Yeah. And therefore, as a fraternity, we need to join hands and give whatever you can do at your own personal level, and also at that particular team level. So if each one of us at a fraternity would actually join together, then I think some of these challenges will be eradicated. You know, when you make the first step, and there's a team called Liverpool, you know, Liverpool say, we shall never walk alone. That means you'll be able to hold somebody's hand and then you move forward. And that particular challenge then becomes a thing of the past. When you share a problem, it's almost 50% solved. So when people come together as a fraternity, I think we should be able to make progress as engineering and engineers of this country. And also, Engineer Namano, you know, such kind of forums that you are running with other team is such a good engagement and a good gesture that then helps the fraternity to get that information. And by so doing, we are expanding our horizon. So I really appreciate this kind of engagement. And if each one of us would then be more proactive and more innovative in various fora to engage our engineers, I think then that would be able to go a long way in assisting us address some of these pertinent challenges that we have as engineers. Thank you.
Yeah, actually the forum is here to give basis to the title. You know, when the public hears of engineers, it doesn't, in essence, it's like it cannot work with the reality that engineers are also people. Like yourself, you are an engineer, a director, but you also sit on a board, a high school board somewhere. You're also a father to two, and then you engage in a lot of mentorship. It's very difficult for many to work with that reality that actually engineers do more than just design, like you, I believe, that is your focus when it comes to design. So that is why this forum is here, and I appreciate the output coming from you. And,
very critical engineer. And also, you know, you need to look at an engineer must be an healthy engineer. And you know, me, I say, people say that from my days of campus, I've been a constant K. That means I've never changed as much. Actually, people who we were with at campus. And the reason why this has happened is that by the day I do 10 kilometers per day in whichever place I am unless I'm sick. So in a month I do 70 kilometers, and that keeps people healthy, because you must be healthy to be able to execute this particular program. So as an engineer, it's not just about being silo mentality where you are in your design table all the time. There are things that actually cement our issues. Also the emotional intelligence, the health issues, very critical to us so that we can be there to see our institution and of course our fraternity grow. So health issues is also very critical for us. I think at the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and I'm happy that I can see Abdi here, even at South Reef, they had established some health programs where every Saturday they would have some things going on. And the engineers, when you come together, I think you share a lot and you become more productive. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Ohaga. So, Grace, the challenge is, how can we help you address it? Engineer Ohaga has said he invited you to the school. That is just one school. There are also, I believe Abdi Fatah is here, he has contacts in the Southeast region. He most definitely invite you to speak. So other than that, what else? What can be done to assist you, you know, fulfill your role as a mentor?
Okay, the solutions that engineer mentioned, they quite resonate, and so are the challenges. So basically, of course, we would love to have more mentors who are willing to keep going and not drop at one time. And now the other one is, of course, we invite more sponsors, anyone who is willing to support the organization in whichever way, because sometimes even if it's transport, such things, accommodation and such stuff, so that at least we can have people motivated, that they really don't have to stress, maybe, or at least they have the ability to flex in case the institutions come up that we need to visit. So those are the major things. And we also things can be a bit structured, maybe social media, we can be able to have a controlled updates running properly, because we've not had them being, since we are the ones who is doing it today, I'm doing it, updating the things, another person is doing it, and such stuff like that. So at least it encourages people and helps us also to keep the programs consistent. So of course, resources indeed. Yeah.
Even when you're talking of having two mentors, that is also a resource itself. It's not just financial resources required to move around.
Yeah. Motivated mentors. That's what I said. People who are willing to come in and stay to the course, come rain, come sunshine.
That makes a lot of sense. So Just if I may ask, Grace, where do you see this particular STEM wahandisi la STEM being in the next 3 or 5 years? Where do you see it? You have mentored more.
Okay, like I've said,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's my dream to at least reach out to 1 million girls by 2030. We are hoping that we are going to be able to have reached out to many schools, and that is why I'm asking us to send more invitation. And please invite us to schools that are that have complied to the COVID, so that we also don't go there and get in trouble. That is why I'm asking people right now, because it's not like before. So I'm hoping that by 2030, God willing, we can be able to reach out to 1 million girls. So that is one of the major dreams. That is a bit long term, but as time goes by, could slice it into half, into maybe 500 to fit the 3 to 5 years. And also I have a dream of holding a STEM conference in Kenya that is going to be to invite students from all over Africa. So it's still somewhere in my pocket. We are trying to plan something, but it has not matured yet so far. So I've been thinking around it, how to work around that. So that is another dream that maybe in the short term, let's say 2 years, not 3 in this case, we can be able to hold a STEM conference that people can come together, engineers can come together, various engineers, different professions can come together, discuss with the students, and students also can showcase their talents. Those who have projects ongoing, they can sort of showcase. Anyone who is willing to fund them can come in. So the idea is still in my head. It's a dream, and I hope to make it come true. And hopefully all of us here can maybe send a few ideas now that I've floated the idea with you guys, that you think on how we can do about it. So those are the 2 things that I want to achieve: to reach out to 1 million girls and hold that famous STEM conference for Africa. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, when it comes to matter of conference, we have the IEK, that is the major institution that can assist with that. When it comes to mentors, I think what Engineer Ohaga proposed, that you work with the IEK, will actually go a long way with your program, the term wahandisi, because they are well networked, starting with Engineer Ohaga himself, all the way to the mashinani branches. So, okay, I'll pass the mic to Engineer Ohaga. Engineer Ohaga, this mentorship for graduate engineers, the one that we are having, I believe session number 59 or 68. To say in the next 2, 3 years, 5 years down the line, where do you see this program being? Do we have the 1,000 GEs having transition to 1,000 PEs or what?
Yes, Engineer, thank you so much. And I think before I get to that question, let me just maybe comment on the request that has been put forward by Grace. And I think, Grace, you belong to IEK. And your thoughts are in line, actually, with the Young Engineers chapter. You know, the fortunate thing about our institution is that we are represented from the grassroots. That means from mashinani, where Abdi Fatah is taking a leading role in that committee, to the World Federation of Engineers. And within Africa, we have our very own Engineer Doreen Kirima, who is the chairperson of Federation of African Organization for Young Engineers. And actually, she's working on something along that line next year, or I think about next year, where we are going to be having some African Engineering Week, specifically for that STEM aspect and the young people. So I think if we still work around with the Young Engineers chapter, you will be able to find a lot of convergence in most of the issues that are affecting our young people. So I still continue to invite you. Engineer Doreen is the chair, African Engineering Organization for the Young People. And there are those particular programs that are supposed to be done next year. Now, back to where we want to see ourselves in the next 3 to 5 years. First of all, is that we want to see ourselves having a very structured mentorship framework that will then act as a gateway from students leaving the university. You leave the university and you already have a gate to get into and immediately start the journey of graduate engineers all the way to consulting engineer. So that's what we want to see in terms of this particular mentorship when it comes to professional growth. From the time you leave the university, you will be getting somebody waiting for you to start the journey with you until that day when you become a consulting engineer, and most even when you want to become a credit checker, of course, with the Engineers Board of Kenya. Our aim of #1000G is for PEs is valid, and that is what we are seeing ourselves in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. We know we have 2,000 graduate engineers coming into the job market every single year. So if you can have 50% of these numbers transitioning every single year across the disciplines, then we shall have been able to create that particular critical mass that we are looking to as a fraternity. This critical mass will then be able to shape the policy direction that we want to see this country taking in terms of sustainable development. So in the next 3 to 5 years, we want to see engineers taking shape, taking position, strategic position in terms of policy, so that we can define the development agenda of this country. We don't want to continue being the menu, but we want to be participating in preparing that particular menu so that it can be eaten by the people of Kenya. Thank you, Engineer Namano.
Thank you. When we're talking of menus and we can, like every engineer has that concern. Being tired of being on the menu. We all want to be part of the ones preparing the menu.
Yes.
It is actually, I believe it's a big deal. Okay, so I'll open the floor to questions from those present. Okay, the video is actually being streamed on YouTube, so that the numbers are a bit low when it comes to this end. But those who are present, I believe they have questions that they'd like to ask. We have, most likely Howard has a question. I believe Abdi will have something to ask. So you can all go ahead and just unmute yourselves and beginning with you, Engineer Howard. What would you like to ask our young engineer Grace? Okay, anyone with a question? Abdi?
Thank you so much, Nomano, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this particular program. You know, I just wanted to be on the background there and listening. Yeah? And I've heard the good work that the two engineers have done. And I know Eric Ohaga is a man of passion and is a man that I can vouch for any day, anytime. When it comes to mentorship, it's something that we don't need even to say it. It is known and it is seen out there. And I know my colleague here, Grace Nzivo, also, she does a very good work. She is a committee member where I serve at South Rift also at advocacy. And I know she has been doing a very wonderful work when it comes to the mentorship of secondary schools, primary and universities right now due to COVID. And I know she's also doing well when it comes to the competition that they're doing right now. And Engineer Ohaga, you can see the fruits what we usually fight for, the fruits of inclusivity. Now that we have the right to vote, I think we shall turn the tables and we shall make sure that Kenyans are going to win this race. On that matter, I think we have driven the point home, and it's a high time also the professional engineers should give the graduate engineers an opportunity to elect their leaders at the institution. This is something that we are continuing that is the part of the table. Being part of the table and not being part of the menu. I hope in future we will not be part of the menu, and we'll be part of those people who make decisions at the table. And I'm just glad that we are doing this thing, and through the workshop, we are also achieving a lot of things, and we will push for whatever we have. And I like the idea of mashinani because we cannot achieve anything without going mashinani. We cannot ring fence our opportunities if we don't go to mashinani, and we cannot have our strength is in mashinani. So if we, all of us, if today all the 7 branches work together and as a team, we will have done a lot. And Engineer Nomano, you know that we are doing the Christmas cheer. So far, we have managed to do the North Rift. We have managed to do the Coast branch, which was in Lamu. Today, we are doing Northeastern branch, and we are also doing the Capital branch in Kiambu. So you can see the focus and efforts that we as members of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya are doing. And we are thanking all those members who participate and push the agenda of the institution. This is our home. We must build our fraternity. We must build our institution. We must work together as engineers, and we must see beyond our noses so that we deliver whatever is supposed to be done. We must plant the tree so that in future, those people who will come 25 years to come will have a shade. So we are going to stop these blaming games, and we want to push for the things that we've never achieved. Thank you so much. I want to thank you, Nomano, for the great work you're doing. Those are my few remarks. And Engineer Ohaga, all the best. Engineer Grace, I wish you become the winner, God willing, and things will be well. Thank you so much, Nomano.
Thank you, Abdivata, for that. Okay, I believe there are no questions, no more questions from both.
Nomano, we have Howard has raised his hand.
Howard, let's proceed and ask for comment.
Hello, good morning, engineer.
Good morning, Engineer Howard.
Sorry, I joined in a little bit too late, but I had a very profound statement from Engineer Ohaga.
Yes.
Regarding the issue of cannibalization, where engineering is cannibalized by those people who are making policies, so that while they sit on the decision-making tables and making policies, engineers become the menu. But I wanted to hear Engineer Ohaga's comment on the challenge of self-cannibalization in engineering.
Okay, over to you, Engineer Ohaga. Self-cannibalization in engineering.
Thank you, Engineer Howard. Self-cannibalization, that means you are cannibalizing yourself as the fraternity. I think, would I want to say that that is an aspect that as engineers, we should be able to deal with it. And we deal with it by ensuring that all our activities are participatory in nature. And once we have that participatory nature, then we should be able to be open with each one of us so that the suspicion that is available for the other party to start seeing like one person is cannibalizing or working against the other person does not arise. So I think we just need to build confidence amongst ourselves. And once we have that confidence and we are working as a team, then that aspect of self-cannibalization should never be there. Because as a team, we should be able to achieve a lot of things actually across the globe. And that's what other countries are beating us in. If you look at the Asian tigers, if you look at Singapore and even South Korea, that self-cannibalization does not exist because people pull resources together. And when you see your friend is lagging behind, you should be able to come in for that particular friend so that as a team we move together. So that is a thing that I would like to say, that in teamwork, we should be able to be strong And I think we have even seen it in many other ventures that we continue to carry, even along the Christmas cheer, even along the policies that we have had in the past. When we pull together, we shall always win this particular war. And that self-cannibalization will not arise at all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Ohaga. So basically, now by working together as a fraternity, seeing each other as needing one another, so they need to cooperate to themselves deal with the issue of self-cannibalization. I believe that is what Engineer Ohaga is doing. So, unless there's another question, I can proceed on. Or unless there's a comment from the...
Namano.
Yes.
Namano, I could first concur with Engineer Ohaga. I think he has spoken well about some of the solutions to the issue of cannibalization. But I just wanted to highlight, maybe as a comment to add on, because the challenge of cannibalization, from my standpoint, how I see it, it comes as a result of competition. When we have competition amongst ourselves, there are two ways that people can compete. We can either compete by one person trying to be better than the other, where the end result will be a team of two people or three or many people who are who are becoming better every other day, because each one is trying to become better than the other, and therefore the end result is the betterment of the team in entirety. However, we have the other side of competition, which I would call strife, where we compete by trying, by one person trying to make the other one worse than them, either by trying to pull them down, either by trying to destroy them, or trying to do something that will probably derail them or reduce them. The end result of such kind of a competition is what can fall in the definition of self-cannibalization. At the end of the day, you grow shorter instead of growing taller. You grow weaker instead of growing stronger as a team. I just wanted to make that comment. I think it would add value and it would help someone to get the point in a better perspective. Thank you.
Okay, engineer. Point well taken, well noted. So I believe that's it. Are there any more questions from the participants? The floor is still open for one more question.
And I think I also just wanted to reiterate on that particular comment by Howard. The reason why we are doing mentorship, basically, and what we said here, is that you can only achieve that you have performed as a mentor when whoever you are mentoring is performing better than you are. And therefore, if there are any forces to the contrary, and then you as a mentor, you will not have achieved anything. If you are mentoring and at the same time, you are pulling strings against that particular mentee, and in this time, mentoring is across the board, then that would be very unfortunate. And I agree with you that people need to be very honest with each other, that once you mentor, then you should expect that that particular mentee should be able to perform better than you are, and you grow as a fraternity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, engineer. Thank you, engineer. Abdi.
Nomano, I think the issue of mentorship in Kenya, we are really trying, and Eric Ohaga knows the journey. I think he's the first person to be stoned when he proposes very good frameworks, and we have those people who have the mentality that if you don't go through the hard way, the way if I tarmac 10,000 kilometers, even you guys have to tarmac. And I think Eric Ohaga has championed for new ways of dealing with things. It's like during our time, we believed in Cain so much, and it never worked. And nowadays, people talk and dialogue, and things are working. And those people who are used to be caned will not want to change that mentality. You cannot teach an old dog new tricks. And that's something that even Eric Ohaga has experienced. I believe he can bear me witness. And it's a journey. And we are going to fight that war, and we will win. And hopefully, Engineer Nomano, I thank you for this program. And I hope that in future, We may have a plenary where we can just come and have a engineers booms of mtaani. We discuss on those sensitive things. We not put it on live, but huko nyumbani kwa kitchen huko uongee maneno, so that when we can now change ideas. And I believe when we sit down together as a team, we can reason together and we can give solutions to our problems. I think we don't have those kind of platforms. That is why we think maybe sometimes we may think the seniors are bad people. Maybe they're not bad people. Maybe sometimes we may judge them wrongly. So it is good that in this mentorship activity that the two engineers are doing, they're doing a good job. We must support them by all means possible. And mentorship, as Grace has alluded, that it has nothing to be paid off. You are not going to be paid. You lose your money, you lose your time. And others will even transition. And Engineer Ohaga can bear me witness. Maybe 15 or 16 people have transitioned through your hand. But maybe only one comes and says, thank you. The rest will just go. So if you put your heart in the wrong place, then you will lose it. You will not continue with the journey. If you want someone to come and appreciate your effort, then you will not do it. That is how mentorship is. So if you go with the mindset that you're going to assist people so that they come and do something in return for you, you have already failed. So you just go out there, do your best, make your difference as much as possible, then allow them to do whatever they do. It's upon them and their goal. You have done your obligation, you have guided them, you have shown them the path. That is what is the responsibility that you have as an engineer. So thank you so much, Nowano. We should continue with this program and we will empower it. God willing, we are together on this one.
Yes, the workshop 254 is here to stay. Of course, we are making strides. The content, this conversation is actually what matters the most. And this content, as you're all aware, is being distributed online for all and everyone who is interested. So yes, you may be few here today participating, but the content, I can assure you from the comments we are getting in our inbox, the workshop 254 is actually having an impact. The comments that come from the guests here, when they reach out to individuals, like we've had feedback from a clip we shared, I think 3 or 4 weeks back. And the reception is like, yes, this is very insightful. The insight here is actually good. And this motivates us to continue, churning out more content, convening more conversations with professionals, bringing on board any and everyone who is interested in sharing whatever you would like to share with the general public. So the workshop 254 is actually here. And we can assure you that we intend to get better and better. So I believe that should bring us to the conclusion of our session. But before we
can I send a shout out to Engineer Abdi Fatah and Engineer Shama in absentia? They have been quite supportive in our mentorships. So those are some of the people, like I can say, from IEK who have come through for us. So I'm really grateful. I appreciate the support. And it has been easy. We didn't have to convince them so much. They just looked at our work and came in for us. So it's a big blessing that you find such people and they are willing to push you, and you are not giving them anything. So thank you so much. I think I wouldn't have done justice not thanking them today. Thank you.
Abdi Fatah is actually always open to assist when the opportunity presents itself. We definitely reach out. When we reach out to him, we reach out. The same goes for Engineer Ohaga. I know Engineer Ohaga very well. Just call him. He'll assist you. He'll most definitely help you. That is assured. Now, just before we conclude, Engineer Ohaga, I have a question for you, just a simple question. Now that you are the second VP, IEK, and you're doing such good work, we'd like to see you go for come the next IEK election, that will be next week, really you should go for something else, something bigger, to have an even greater impact. Are you open to considering more greater role at the institution, or this is it for you, Engineer Ohaga?
Hey, Engineer Namano. I must say, leadership is given.
Yes.
It's given by the people who have the mandate to do that. And when called upon at the right time to continue with that particular work, as a servant of God, you should be able to listen to the ground. And once the ground has spoken to you, you should be able to give a feedback on the same. So at that particular opening time, the ground will tell us, we shall respond as appropriate. Thank you so much, Engineer Namano.
Engineer Namano, the ground at the moment is not saying anything. We have so many enemies. So we will wait until the right time.
Engineer Ohaga has responded by making sure he doesn't respond. That is okay, but just once notice. And appreciate you, Grace Nzivo. And now, you talked about mentorship, but those of us who are present here, we know that you're one of the contestants when it comes to what the FAEO is doing. I believe it's Africa's most influential women engineers in Africa, something like that.
Yeah.
So we are still voting. I believe the vote, people are still, the voting exercise is still open. What I'd like you to request that to take this opening. Just tell us a little bit, why reach out to us and ask us for our vote so that we can vote.
Oh. Okay, your sound today at the moment was quite bad, but if I got you, you're asking about the ongoing nominations by FAO, and I should ask for vote, something like that.
Yes, kindly ask for a vote.
Okay. All right. Wow. Thank you so much for the opportunity to request for the votes from the members present. So, like I'd mentioned in my profile that is going around, mine has been over and beyond just being a practicing engineer, that I've gone back to the community to give a hand to someone who doesn't have someone to look up to basically, and in that case in the engineering profession. So that is how I believe I ended there. So what I can ask you is for your support. Please vote for me. I will continue with the mentorship sessions. You've had some of our dreams that we have in the next 5 years. We want to reach out to more schools. And we also want to have the STEM conference, which I'm hoping that it's going to come to life. And now that Engineer Elec has offered to support us through the Young Engineers chapter. Yeah, so basically mine is, I can only give myself that I'll continue doing what I've been doing. So, and the fact that other people out there have gone and acknowledged the work I've mentioned, and other people have also acknowledged the work, not only FAO. We've had the African Union Center for Women and Girls Education appreciating our work. We have YALI, Young African Leaders Initiative Center, East Africa. So Mawaza Institute in conjunction with Johnson & Johnson. So it warms my heart that someone appreciates the work. And I hope that our dream that I've shared today, our achievements that I've shared today, they have touched your hearts and you can resonate with it. And that is going to compel you to give you my vote. So that is the only thing that I can promise, that I'll continue doing the work that I've been doing over the years. And God willing, if this goes through, now we can meet, and of course, once we get the attention, and so far we've gotten good attention as a matter of fact, we can be able now to start looking at things at the regional level, East Africa, and even Africa as a whole. And who knows, God might take us to even the world, you know? Yeah, so yeah, that is my when it comes to requesting for your support. And so far, I'm really extremely humbled by the support that you guys have shown. It's over and beyond. It's almost it just warms my heart that you guys have come out in large numbers. Some of you have gone the extra mile of sharing with everyone they know. Some people have sent me, sometimes I'm seated, I see someone send me 20 contacts from engineers. Another person send me, oh, send to this, tag this one, do this. It has been so overwhelming support. I can only thank you. May God bless you for me. Thank you so much. It really warms my heart, therefore we have come. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you can hear, you can see how he's saying, we are behind you. We are all behind you. We'd like you to win this win home for us. It will mean a lot. It will encourage more ladies to mentor more ladies. It will encourage younger engineers to mentor more engineers. That is what we'd like to do. That is why we are voting for you, because a win for you is actually a win for us all. So, ladies and gentlemen present, I believe we've come to the end of our session today. And without saying much, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. And may we all have a blessed week and enjoy our Christmas festivities, because our next session will now be the week after this one, after the next one. So thank you very much for being present and for participating in the conversation.
Thank you for having us. I greatly appreciate the invitation, and have blessed week to everyone. Oh, blessed week. It starts tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Can you tell us goodbye or something?
Yes, thank you so much. I also want to appreciate this particular session. I think it's been very fruitful, sharing ideas, and I think the future is brighter for us. So I want to wish all of us Merry Christmas and, of course, a Happy New Year. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.